Hey guys, it's Hannah and welcome to the Dyslexic Reader. Today I am going to be doing my wrap up for the IELTS Readathon, which lasted for the month of April of 2019. I read, actually, there was 12 books for the readathon, which I completed. I also readed. That's really good English. I read 2 extra books this month as well, so there was 14 books in total. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do this in 2 parts and do 7 and 7, because I'm not sure that I can explain all these books properly. I think just 14 would be a long time, or else not explained properly. So I'm just going to do 7. And then tomorrow I'm going to post the next 7. So if you finish this and you want to see the next part, check in tomorrow. Subscribe if you want to, and then you'll get the notifications and everything, and you will be sorted. But I'm just going to dive right in. I'm just going to go through the challenges alphabetically. I was travelling a lot in April, so I read a lot of ebooks as well, so I'll just put the pictures of the covers up so that you can get the idea. For Ancient Runes, I have my little diary down here where I put in like all the challenges and what I read. For Ancient Runes, it had to be a retelling, and I read a book called How the Moon Regained Her Shape by Ruth Janet Heller, and this was a retelling of an old Native American story, and it was just like a really fun kids book. There was no great plot twist or anything to it. It was quite simple. It had a nice wee moral to it, and it's definitely a story that I would read to a child in the future. It wasn't very long, 40 pages or something, and I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. The artwork in it was cool, and I did enjoy the experience of reading it. Arithmancy was a work written by more than one author, and I read my first ever Berenstain Bear books. I used to watch the TV show, but I've never read any of the books, and it is written by a couple called Stan and Jan. Rhyming names, you can't beat it. And I read The Bird Detectives. This is not what I thought it was going to be. It was a lot more picture booky and rhymey and less of a story. It was literally like a picture with like not even a full sentence underneath it, and it was about a stolen pumpkin or something that they had to go and find. So it was quite an eye-opener to me, because that's not what I thought the books would be like at all. Again, I gave it a 3 stars. It just wasn't what I was going in to do, but for what it was fine. For astronomy, you had to read a book with a star in the title, and I read Wishing on a Midnight Star by Nancy Ogaz. This was a book about a young autistic boy and his little brother, and Nancy actually has an autistic son, and she has 2 sons, and it was kind of about the brother relationship. I thought this was a really nice story. I thought there was a really good message in it in regards to reading it to kids, to teach them about like how other people can have difficulties like autism, and how it can be hard for us to understand because we don't have it, we don't see things that way, but how to treat them in the best that we can and try to be as understanding and caring as we can, even though that can be hard at times. And just trying to give people space to be themselves and realise that people who have who are neurodiverse, really, just not leeway is not the right word, but just to kind of put it in the back of our mind that people have these problems. Loads of people have loads of different problems, and we shouldn't judge them, and it doesn't make them any lesser. And how to cope with siblings maybe that have problem when they seem to be getting more attention than you if you have siblings with disabilities and things. So I thought it was a really nice wee story with a good message, and the actual story was gripping to me, like what was happening. I wanted to find out what would happen next, so I think I gave this 4 stars. Couldn't give it a 5 stars because it wasn't mind-blowing, but it was really good, and it was something that I would probably recommend if maybe a parent or anything ever came to me asking for literature about this kind of topic. It is definitely it's definitely recommendable in my opinion. Then for Care of Magical Creatures, you had to read a book with a land animal on the cover, and I read The Rescuers by Margaret Sharp. This was all, there's 3 in the Rescuers series. There's The Rescuers, Miss Bianca, and The Turret, and I only read The Rescuers. I didn't read the whole book. This is not at all what I thought it was going to be like. It's nothing like the movie The Rescuers, even though that's what it's based on. I have a feeling, though, reading the little synopsis of each book, that the second book in the series, called Miss Bianca, is going to be more closely related storyline-wise to The Rescuers. But the whole basis of it, really, apart from mice that try to help somebody. There was really, and the names of the characters, like there was no real correlation at all, which I thought was interesting, but I kind of enjoyed the story. I wouldn't say it was the best. I think I'm more looking forward to the second story. Kind of, I don't want to say nothing happened, because that's not true. And when people say like nothing happens in a book, I take it as, oh, there must be a lot of character development. Do you know, it's just not plot driven. I don't take that as a bad thing. But kind of, there was a lot of unnecessary talk, and then everything at the end just finished a bit. It was just weirdly let out. The pacing was a bit weird, but I did enjoy it, and I definitely would read the rest of the series, and I'm glad that I did read it, because it gives me a wee bit of perspective on the movie, and it's just very interesting to see how you can take like the same basic story, I guess, and get such different adaptations of it. So yeah, it was an interesting read. I didn't love it. For Charms, this is our 5th book we've talked about, so I don't go over my 7. For Charms, it was age line, and you had to read an adult work. I read To Kill the President by Sam Bourne, and this was my first ever political kind of thriller. It literally is about the President of the United States, who is Trump. He's not mentioned as Trump. He's only ever called the President, but it's meant to be Trump. He basically comes very close to launching nuclear weapons. And so the staff of the White House have to decide what they're going to do about that, and there's also an assassination plot, but there's like a couple of twists within it, and like things happen to the bad guys and you assume the good guys did, but they didn't. Someone else done it who was also bad guys, and there was a lot of different plot lines going on, but I thought like the characters were good, and it definitely was gripping. Everything was answered, so I don't really know why I didn't like it, but I think maybe political thrillers aren't my thing, and I think probably if you knew that, like, if you were more politically minded, it might make more sense. Yeah, it was just a bit weird. Did I give it a 3? I gave it a 3. I didn't really like it or dislike it, but then maybe that's just me not being used to reading political thrillers. I didn't really have anything else to compare it to, but it definitely was interesting, and I'm glad I read it. And if anyone said that they liked this kind of book, I would recommend it, because there was nothing wrong with it. I just didn't particularly click with it, I guess. For Defense Against the Dark Art, the spell was Reducto, and you had to read a book where the title started with an R, and I read Ratburger by David Walliams. David Walliams is a massive children's author here in the UK, and a lot of children in school read his books and have read his books, so I like to read as many of his works as can, so that if they come in and you say what's your favourite book, then you can discuss it with them. And this was one that I had never read, and I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was a bit weird, I'm not going to lie. I don't know how to really summarise the plot without giving it away, and I didn't know the plot going in, so I will just tell you that it was a really unique children's book. The characters were unique, and the whole twist on it was unique. I'm not sure. Almost the moral story is wrong. It's not the kind of story that you would want to give kids, and it's also a bit unrealistic how it all pans out. But it is a children's book. It is very fun. It's very good characters, and I said a unique story, which is unusual sometimes in children's literature. So I guess that's why David Walliams is so popular. So I gave it a 4-star for what it was. I thought it was really good fun. And the last one to talk about in this part of the video is Divination, and you had to pick a book set in the future. And I picked Volume 1 of Descender. This is a graphic novel series. I'll give you a look at some of the artwork inside. And it is about a robot that was made to really be a companion to lonely children. And there's also these massive robots that have attacked kind of the main planets of the solar system, and there's somehow a link between the big massive robots and these wee robots, and our main character is the only one left, so there's loads of people after him because they want to use his technology or whatever to link him to the big robots. And there's lots of other characters and all, and there's more to the storyline than that, but I thought it was really interesting. And I definitely, if the library has I think there's maybe 3 or 4 volumes of this out at the minute. Let's see when it was published. September 2015, so there's probably one a year, so there's probably 3 or 4. So if the library has the following volumes, I definitely would follow up on it. I'm not going to hunt for them, I'm not going to buy the series, but if I ever saw the rest of the series in the library, I would pick it up. So that was my first 7 books. It was quite good. There was mostly 3 stars, but a couple of 4 stars, no 5s, no 1s. It was just good. They were all enjoyable. I would recommend any of them to someone who thought that the synopsis sounded interesting. They were all good, just some of them weren't for me. And that was it. So that is part 1 of my Owls wrap up. Come back tomorrow to see part 2, where I talk about the next 7 books that I read in April. I hope you're all happy, I hope you're all healthy, and hopefully I'll see you in the next part. Goodbye.